Hello, my name is Islam Hamada, and this is a pre-recorded presentation for the 2021 International Conference on Cognitive Modeling, and I'm going to present on disjunctions and the way completion semantics. The way completion semantics is a formal theory that models human reasoning as logic programs, and it actually models the average reasoner in 3 experiments, such as the selection task and human syllogistic reasoning. And it has already outperformed 12 cognitive theories in human syllogistic reasoning specifically. The selection task is a famous psychological theory where human reasoners were given the rule: if the letter D is on one side of a card, then the number 3 is on the other side. Then they were presented 4 cards, and then they were asked which cards must be turned to show that the rule holds. And typically, humans choose the cards with D and 3, and the way completion semantics can already predict that. And so far, the way completion semantics only handle conditional statements. And here I'll present how it can handle disjunctions or statements. And there are mainly 2 types of disjunctions. Inclusive disjunctions, such as Lisa is in Cambridge or Ben is in Dublin or both. Integrity constraints are rules of the form false if body, and this way you eliminate the possibility whether body is true or unknown. So for an inclusive disjunction A or B, you can use the integrity constraint false if, not A and not B, and this way you eliminate all the cases where neither A nor B is true. And the previously mentioned approach works perfectly for inclusive disjunctions, but for exclusive disjunctions, we need to add an integrity constraint that states that A and M cannot be true at the same time. The next step is to use skeptical abduction. Abduction is used usually to explain an observation O, and usually there's a set of integrity constraints that's provided along with it, and then you look for explanations that satisfy both, and then you reason skeptically with respect to explanations. In other words, you only consider what's common among all the explanations, not just one of them. Consider the following example. Lisa is in Cambridge or Ben is in Dublin or both. Lisa is not in Cambridge. What follows? For Lisa is not in Cambridge, we use C if bottom. And for the or statement, we use false if, not C and not D. And then we use abduction to explain the empty observation. There's only one explanation, D if top. And it's the only way to satisfy the integrity constraint. So what follow is Ben is in Dublin. Consider the second example. Antonia is looking at Berta, while Berta is looking at Cleopatra. Antonia is wearing a red hat, Cleopatra is not wearing a red hat. And it's unknown whether Berta is wearing a red hat. Is a person with a red hat looking at a person without a red hat? First, we create a logic program. And to explain, LAB means that Antonia is looking at Berta. RA means that Antonia is wearing a red hat. And goal is satisfied if there's X looking at Y and X is wearing a red hat while Y is not wearing a red hat. But here we should consider that there is an implicit disjunction, which is Berta is either wearing a red hat or not. For that, we use the integrity constraint, false if, not RB and RB. Then we use abduction to explain the empty observation. We can find 2 explanations that satisfy the integrity constraint, which is that Berta is wearing a red hat and that Berta is not wearing a red hat. And in both cases, we can see that there's always a person with a red hat looking at a person without a red hat. So the goal is true, but it's unknown whether Berta is wearing a red hat or not when we use skeptical. To sum up, disjunctions can be handled in weak completion semantics by encoding them as integrity constraints, and we follow that by using skeptical abduction. Thanks for listening.